everybody, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of my new series, Blueprints to Reality. So, basically, a large dream of mine for most of my life has been to design and build my own house. Um, I went to school to be an architectural engineer many, not many years ago, but some years ago. And it's always been a dream of mine to kind of just dabble, play around with architecture in general. My job now is I'm an electrical engineer, so I kind of stepped away from architecture over the years and kind of as just a neat, fun side hobby is to come design buildings. When I'm feeling bored, sometimes I'll just hop onto the software that we're looking at here, Revit, and I will start kind of messing with a variety of different items inside the software just to make buildings. And I've made a few home designs here and there over the years, but I thought what a great way to kind of just get started in this and kind of share this experience with you guys as we start from all the way at the programming level to moving into actually designing the house and seeing where we can go with it. With the ultimate goal at the end of this series, no matter how many seasons it takes, we can do multiple house designs and we can go through the whole entire process of what it takes to build a house. My personal life, I've never built a house fully. I've worked on homes my entire life. My father is a carpenter, and like I said, I went to school for architecture. So I currently dabble in a lot of large scale commercial data center markets as an electrical engineer and utility level stuff. So once we get to the electrical section of the design, obviously I'll be much more excited than I am now. But looking at this, I've kind of gone and I can show everything that we've done over the last couple weeks prepping for this first episode. And if you hear any noises, it's I don't have a high quality operation going here yet, as kind of just getting started with this, and I think it'll be a fun experience. But over the last week or so, I've kind of started programming some ideas, and essentially what programming is, if you're not familiar with it, is going through and laying essentially the Legos, the building blocks of your structure, coming up with ideas of things that you want and the things that you desire to have in your structure. And so I have a running list actually of those. If I can get that pulled up here, I will show you quick all the neat things that I've been working on. So at the programming level, I have been looking at ideas of the goal square footage for the home. I would like a shop as well because I'm pretty avid in mechanics as well, and so having a shop for my project cars, my boat, things like that are important to me. And so those are things that I kind of want to take a look at as I'm developing this and want to have a good idea of what space I need in order for my dream to really come reality. And so, in addition to that, I went through what it takes per level. And so, level one, projecting about 1,500 square feet with a variety of different spaces, bedrooms, offices, laundry rooms, really going through the detailing of what is it going to take and how many square feet is it going to take per area. And then basement and level two, putting the master bathroom, bedroom, and closet on level two to kind of have more of a view. Ideally, this home would end up on an acreage somewhere or with an incredible view of, nature itself. And so that it's important for me in this case to have a master suite uh, directly available to the highest views and the best views possible. And then the basement, a little bit more enclosed space, so it's going to contain, your utility rooms, your storage areas. Fitness is a big thing in my life, so I would really love to have a home gym, and then media room. I do like to drink every now and again, so a bar is kind of interesting to think about. And then game rooms, and then a couple spare bedrooms as well. So this is a very ambitious size house. And so the fun thing about this series will ultimately be we're going to take this from what you're looking at here today, and we're going to make the 3D model of it. We're going to go through all the process of generating the specifications. We're going to generate the construction level documents, all in order for us to kind of have an overall look of what this thing is going to be and what it could be. Kind of aiming for like a level of design 350, 500, or 350 to 400. So somewhere to where we can give it to a contractor and say, hey, this is enough information for you to price this out and start construction. Um, and as we go through this series, my goal in 2026, and the reason why I'm starting this at the end of the year in 2025, is to purchase the land that this property will, or this home will eventually sit on. And so, with the career that I have and all the other things that I do in life to earn income, I think 2026 is a good target ultimately to achieve that goal. And so this kind of goes over all the programming. And then additionally, the garage aiming for 3 stalls. I have a few cars that are kind of my project cars right now. And then I have a small kind of V-bottom boat as well. So I'm just thinking of the future and all the things that I would like to add to this place, in addition to, one day, whatever happens, having an additional partner in that home as well. So these are kind of just all good little things to think about, and we'll start getting back into Revit here. So, like I said, this is the map of all of the spaces that we just talked about in the programming level. So we'll start at the main level. The main level, we have the garage. There'll be a 2-port garage with a workbench area just for any automotive or woodworking tasks, possibly. Kind of aiming for the open concept here. And essentially, what that means is I want this space to be as free flowing as possible, have a lot of opportunity for, minor wall partitions, maybe just to kind of separate the space very lightly. But ultimately, I don't want to have to pass through doors to get where I want to go. So a lot of archways, entryways, whatever it might be, openings just to get from room to room. So you'll see here, we have a fairly large great room that my intent with this is it'll have a wraparound porch that essentially will start where either the garage starts or the pantry starts, and then we'll wrap around the entire house to the back office slash library. And that will have a variety of large pane windows for a nice view. I kind of envision this space here having one of the best views of the land it sits on. And the reason why I say that is just because it's nature kind of sets you apart from what's going on, whether you get home, stressful day at work, whatever it might be, and kind of having that envisionment of seeing a sunrise or seeing a sunset, whatever it might be, and kind of this space being that calm that kind of puts this home together. And so I envision large pane windows, kind of just that open concept that kind of gets us to nature, bringing nature into the home without being, directly part of it. Because where we live here in the Midwest, obviously, is very cold, and so we don't want to be directly a part of nature. And so that tied into the kitchen, I envision the kitchen kind of being the same way. It'll act as a dining room as well. And so we'll see how all that comes together. I imagine the kitchen having, an island being kind of more spread out, allowing for more free flowing opportunity around the whole entire cooking area. And then on top of that, a walk-in pantry, a larger laundry room. And the reason why I connected it directly to the mud room is my intent here is to have openings on the side of the wall, kind of just tiny, tiny door openings that will allow for you to pull out, a laundry basket directly in the mud room. Say, yourself, your partner, kids, whatever, they get dirty and then they enter through the garage. They can deal with all that right there at the mudroom, and then put all of the dirty, nasty stuff directly into the laundry room. So we're not tracking all of that through the house ultimately. And additionally, what that does is with a lot of this, you'll see I tried to keep it on a decent riser where laundry rooms, bathrooms, all throughout the house are kind of secluded to this back half of the structure to where I don't have to do a lot more routing of the water. And so that kind of falls into the mechanical and plumbing portion of this. So as we continue to go through this, you'll kind of see why I've done the design in some ways, especially with like HVAC pass-throughs. How are we going to get the ducting from the basement utility to the second floor? That's ultimately one of the big questions you have to consider as you put your layout together when that comes to electrical routing as well. And these are all kind of things that we consider as we develop these designs. And so with that, we also have the office, spare bedroom, bathroom, and then shared closets. Ultimately wanting to put the bathroom kind of in the center of the space on the main level to allow for that free flow. And then going up to the master suite, the stairs will be connected into the great room. I kind of imagine a nice width of a staircase, or maybe just a straight staircase going up into the second level, where you'll have a loft, and then we'll have a opening down to the great room level. And so there will be nothing in this space, and the great room will have whatever the ceiling height is ultimately of the top of the house. That'll possibly have skylights, or a variety of things to allow for more natural light to get into the space. And then the master bedroom, closet, and bathroom with a possible little side linen closet for anything that might be happening in the loft. And then we look at the top, the attic space of the garage, ultimately having a large amount of storage and space inside of your home is kind of a big thing that you got to think about when you're doing this first bit of programming. And so the attic space will have some sort of drop down stairs to allow for ease of access. Additionally, one of the cool things that I've seen in some houses is they have a winch up here that will winch anything that might be necessary. So to utilize the structure of the house, obviously you can't apply significant loads to that, and that's something that we'll get in as we kind of talk about the structural components of this. Um, and they'll utilize a winch to kind of, winch any smaller objects that might need to get winched up to the ceiling. So kind of a neat little thought there as well. And then when we go down to the basement level, obviously we have to account for the staircase. And with the staircase, I think having the utility and mechanical area right next to the staircase might be extremely beneficial, because what we'll do is we'll pass that ducting right through the top of the ceiling of the staircase and then take a 90-degree turn to the left and then route that directly up through our HVAC pass through. Ultimately, that's the intent of it. Does it happen? Will it work exactly that way? I'm not 100% sure until I kind of sit down and look at the internals, the MEP, and that stands for mechanical, electrical, plumbing aspect of the building. And so those are just things to think about. But ultimately, with the stairs coming right down into the media home theater area, and then the bathroom again kind of being set on this riser in a way, we want to be able to kind of keep that plumbing routing down to a minimum. And then connected into that, we'll have wall partitions for home gym, a big storage area that will probably remain unfinished. I know a lot of homes, at least here in the Midwest, put their storage areas in the basement, because a lot of them have outgoing sliding glass doors or access to a lower level. And that would kind of be the intent here as well, because we just don't want to take any large items down a staircase to put into a storage room. Ultimately, if we could have two ways of access, that would be the plan. And so that's kind of going to come when we talk about the civil aspect of the design. So we won't really know that until we have a piece of land to put this structure on. And so ultimately, this design, even when we complete it in this season, may be a thing where we look at this at the end and say, okay, well, here's this plot of land that we bought this year. Now, how do we alter the design and tailor it to get it to fit? Because you don't want to move a significant amount of dirt in order for your home to fit. Yes, you're going to have to obviously dig, for your foundations and everything, but ultimately you want this to flow with the land. You don't want to disturb the land significantly, because that takes away from everything that we talked about previously in regards to our nice views. And so, yes, all of this will be connected in with a hallway, an additional spare bedroom. Like I said, a saloon bar. I kind of just have this envisionment in my head of kind of a place where myself and my friends can come hang out. The kids can come, the spouses can come, stuff like that. A place where we can go down to and just have a good time ultimately. And so that is the concept of the home design. And as we move into the shop, it's a little less just because there's a lot less space to work with when we consider everything that goes inside of the shop. And so the intent with the shop is to have three carports, and then we would have a workbench area. So any woodworking, crafting that needs to be done. Like I said, my father has been a carpenter his whole life. I have assisted him on many things. He has instilled some of his carpentry in me over the years, and so it's important for me ultimately to kind of take that. And so I'd love to have a workbench area so I can work on my vehicles, I can work on my boat, and I can do any woodwork that I do so desire. And then having a bathroom down there. I assume that the way this shop sits is kind of placed off to the side. It'll still be connected to the main roadway and the main driveway, but ultimately kind of just setting it off away from the house as its own entity. And then a wash bay, I think will be really beneficial for all of the things that I do plan on storing inside of this shop. I worked in car sales for a long time before I went to school for architectural engineering. And so one of the cool things about the dealerships and the places that I worked, they all had, power washing machines, and they all had wash bays for detailing. And so one of my other passions in life is auto detailing. So I still do enjoy that in a way. And so all this to kind of explain the intent behind why I made the decisions that I made. And so, us being 17 minutes into the first video now, I think we'll start placing the first wall. And so we'll kind of get a look at what is the building ultimately going to look like with just the perimeter wrapped around. And one other thing that I'm thinking about while I'm here is I've always had kind of a desire to have a reading nook in a way in this. So we're going to tailor this design a little bit to maybe bounce one of these walls out on the great room or something, just to kind of give the building a little bit more flair. Maybe we'll do it in the back library office, as tailors to a reading nook a little bit more, but just something to kind of give the house a less of a square, rectangular shape feel. So we will start by placing our first wall. And so I've kind of come in here already and done some of the programming for the walls. And so today we're just going to work on the exterior walls and get a good idea. Next episode, we'll start obviously working on like roofs, interior walls, and all those various things. And we'll kind of start to get a really good picture of what this is going to look like. And so I start here at my project origin, and this is an exterior based wall. And so what we're going to see here is I'm just going to outline essentially the back half of, or sorry, the perimeter of the wall. And so I have a nice little tool here called Brush Force Tools. And so if I pull a view of this, you're going to see some red and some stuff probably because I've been working on some mask groups, but it appears they didn't show, which is good. And so what we're seeing here is this is the perimeter walls of the main level. And so we're going to want to set those to the right elevation to start out with. And so you can see here, there's a top constraint unconnected. And so basically what this is going to do is going to allow us to set the constraints of how high these go. And so this will be a up to level 2, which will drop it down to the 10 feet. So I'm expecting that these walls will be about 10 feet tall. They're going to be a little bit different in some areas. Like I said, the main great room area is going to have a huge ceiling, but I intend for the bedroom, the bathroom, and all these other spaces to have about 10-foot ceilings. And we can adjust that as we go, right? The ceiling's not going to stop directly where the level stops. And so these are just things that we're working on as we go through it. Okay, and then a lot of the stuff that we did here, this second level in this basement, we're going to have to essentially uh, create new views for those. And so if I could go to my views here, there we go, and go to my new plan views. And we're going to create a new floor plan. And you can see here I have two levels that I have not yet created. So basement level 2. So I'm going to shift click on those two, and boom, there's level 2. It got generated. And I bet if I went to here, there's a basement floor plan as well. And as you can see, they are completely blank, and that's okay because we did a lot of that initial programming right here. And so I'm going to move some stuff around here real quick. It's not going to be perfectly aligned with what we just had, just because I need to kind of get the views set right here quickly. Oh, looks like we lost the detail line there, and so we'll put that back real quick. Oh, we lost a few detail lines. So let's go ahead and redo that quickly. Right. Something's going on. I think I know what's going on, but let me just fix it real quick instead of having to go through that all again. So let's go ahead and cut this off, detail lines, and let's go ahead and cut these off. And I think based on that, oh, it looks like this did the same thing. Yeah, that's okay. I wonder, I see the problem. It did not select the masses that were underneath of them. That is okay. So let's fix that real quick on the level 2 as well. I don't have masses turned on in this view, that's right. So one of the things, visibility graphics, it's can sometimes be a killer. So as you can see there, yep, there's some stuff, and now we have some weird stuff hanging around, which is okay. We're gonna get this cleaned up here real quick. And there we go. That looks a little bit more like what we had before. Perfect. Okay, and we're going to do that same thing for our lovely basement as well. So let's go ahead and click delete on that and bring back, I'm using my hotkeys mostly. That is letters VV every time I hit that and bring up. It uses software quite a bit, so it's something that I just kind of have memorized more recently. But okay, so this is where we're at. Basement, level 2, and level 1. So we can go ahead and kind of clean up some of this view itself and go ahead and remove those two. All right. Now with that, we need to see where we just started. So we created a perimeter. So we're going to go over to our view ranges, and we're going to go ahead and say we want to see the bottom. We want to see the view depth of at least level 1 because we're on level 2 and we need to see level 1 so we have a good base. And then bang, there we go. This, we'll ignore that because that's just some spare stuff from the car canopy or the cars. So we're going to go ahead and grab all of our stuff here and X this out and go ahead and move this. Oh, see, we got one wall there. We're going to go ahead and move this out of the way. All right, and we're going to go back down to level 1 just so we can fix this. Okay, so you see a lot of different stuff here kind of going on, and that's just a product ultimately of us moving things around, and I see what I did wrong there. So we're going to go ahead and just not do that. We're going to start back from 0. We're going to move this completely out of the way, and then we'll readjust our view settings. So we'll go down to level 1. We want to see level 1, and boom, there it is. All right. So now these are all the spaces that will be like our living room, our kitchen, stuff like that. The reason why you don't see the pantry there is just the detail line and it's not a mass. So we could obviously draw that out, but that's not really something we're trying to do quite yet. And so there's some other things that we'll be working on here, but ultimately, now that we're at level 2, we need to put the exterior walls for level 2 itself. And so what we can do here is, since it's a direct trace, we can trace this next set of lines, or this next set of walls. And so we can free move these now. So there is our level 2. And if we pulled up our 3D view again and went to level 2, or it might be that this is hanging out. Yep, it's hanging out over there. So you can see, based off this, it is higher, or it is at level because of our elevations. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to make this 10 feet as well for now. This is going to change ever so slightly as we kind of refine this design more. And we'll come back next episode and we'll reprogram these walls, and it'll start to really look like something that is worthwhile and will be eventually a home. And so with that, we're going to go back up to our level 2, and we are going to, for now, click this and put that on the top. And so we can see we have a little offset here, and then we're going to base all of our dimensions off of the level 1 dimensions, because those are what's kind of dictating the whole entire assembly. So we're going to need to stretch this out ever so slightly, just like that. Okay, so what we can do after that is we can kind of hide some of this stuff underneath, because we don't need to see that necessarily quite yet. We'll see that as the walls come in here shortly, probably next episode, because we're running a little long right now. Okay, but ultimately we could take this and go ahead and drag and drop that directly back over top of this. And so it's not a perfect fit quite yet. We're going to have to do some kind of messing around with it to get it to work. But you can kind of see here, we just need to extend the bathroom and the closet and make the loft a little wider, or maybe extend the master bedroom, one of those things. But these are just templates for now. We're kind of just going through the first level. And then you can see there, based on that, we have our connected and divided. You can see by that white line. So there's level 2, there's level 1, and we could go even right now and put in a floor with that if we wanted to. So in order for us to kind of see some separation, we'll go put in a floor. I don't have any of the major floors developed quite yet, but for now, we will put in this floor so we can see some separation. And then we will attach it. Yep, great. And then there we go. So we have some separation now. We have a second level. And like I said before, we're going to end up cutting into that second level anyway. So if I go back into here and I pull back this and I pull back this and kind of frame this great room, we will be able to see the concept of the opening to the bottom. And so there it is right there. It is, I think it'll ultimately be very unique once we're all said and done with it. So, all right. And I'm going to hop back in here real quick and just kind of fix that. Awesome. And so, yeah, there we go. There's our opening to our soon-to-be great room. All right, and then one of the last things we'll do here before we wrap up today's episode is go ahead and get our bubbles right here. And so we want to see to the top, and so that should allow us, oops, let's go to our view range again. We need to go up to, I believe, 10 feet. Oops, not 90. Interesting. Okay, so I'm trying to, at this point, figure out to go unlimited, maybe, just for the temporary. Yeah. And that's all right. I bet what I have here is I need to do the lookup function. And so if we go, I believe range, base underlay. Okay, there we go. We can kind of see it right now. So the base will be the basement, and then the top will be that. But for now, we're going to look down, or actually, we're going to look up. And so that will, whoops, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, there we go. So for now, that's how it's going to be. If I switch this, that's how it will end up eventually. So what this basement is ultimately going to be, and we'll get that view cleaned up at some point here. What this basement is also ultimately going to be is just the outline of the structure above. So if we put this right there, we can go ahead and put in some walls, and we will do these connected to the level 1 with the starting base constraint of the basement level. And then we will go ahead and pull this around just like this, and we will frame out the basement. So if we go into here now, we can see that we have a basement, and it is successfully connected to the top or the bottom of the level 1. And so with that, we can go ahead and put on the 2 floors or the 2 foundations for the garage and the foundation for the basement, as well as the rest of the floor for the first level. So let's go ahead and do first level real quick, and then this is where we'll probably stop today. So we'll go floor, and then we'll put on a nice floor here, just like that. Perfect. And let's go ahead and attach it. So we can see here now we have a lovely floor that is separating our basement and our first level. And then we'll go down to our basement level, and we'll go ahead and put in our little floor. And so you can see here the pink line is on the inside. And so that's not exactly what we want, because we want the wall to sit on top of the foundation ultimately. And so we're going to go ahead and click this button right here, which is our flip, which will allow the pink lines to go to the outside of the wall perimeter in lieu of the inside. And so with that, we have now generated the first look at our walls, floors, and our floor opening for our home. And so next episode, what we're going to be looking at is kind of the wall concept as a whole. I'll bring in some materials for the structure. You'll get to be able to see how we're going to kind of put all the walls together with the gypsum on the inside, 2'6" studs, and then on the outside wall we'll find a nice sheathing. And then we'll do all the foundation work as well. We'll get all the materials looking good and right, just so we can start to see some progress here. But for now, we have the preliminary view of our home. So thanks for watching, everyone. I greatly appreciate it. We will see you in the next episode.